Testing, testing. Okay, 10:30. We are live again. Second mix stream. Seeing if anyone's joining. Let me know if there's any issues with the audio in the chat. I think I've got the microphone sorted following Tuesday's stream, so if there's any issues, let me know. It's absolutely freezing here in the UK this morning. Right, let's get started then. So we are looking at Darko again. So appreciate the guys at Darko for letting me use their tracks. Today we are looking at the song The Ladder. This is the first song from their 2020 EP Sparkle. So I mixed this about 4 years ago. What I've done with this is I've basically reset the mixer, and I've imported my mix template. We covered a song by Darko on Tuesday from the same EP. Normally what I would be doing at this stage is essentially I've mixed the first song and then refined that to a level where I'm pretty happy with it. And then once I'm sort of at that point, when I go to the other songs, I'd normally just transfer the mix across to this session and then sort of mix from there. But I figure that's not really much fun for anyone watching the stream. So probably what I'm going to do is just mix the whole thing from scratch again. So it'd be kind of interesting to me to see how different the mixes come out, mixing each one from scratch. But I figure that I'll get more out of that. If anyone has any questions while we're going through this, just let me know. Happy to stop and go back over anything if I go too quickly. And I think today I'm probably going to try just see if there's anything slightly different that we can do. So maybe swap some plugins out, or just see if there's any different techniques that I didn't cover on the last stream that I can add in today. So yeah, if there's anything you think of, just let me know. Right, what I've done already is just done a basic rough balance. The vocals are completely unprocessed, so they will sound very out of sync with the audio, but I'll just play you a little bit of the song so you can get a rough idea of what we're working with. Cool. So a bit faster than the track we were working with the other day. We've got some double time stuff in here as well, so we'll just have to be careful with the roominess of the drums. But I think the sound we got on Tuesday was pretty cool, so I guess I'm probably going to go with something fairly similar, but let's see how we get on. So starting with the kick drum. So I went through routing on the previous live stream. So if you need to go through my routing, you should be able to find it at the start of the last one. So I'm not going to go over that again today. So kick, basically what I've got is kick beta, kick out, I've got a kick trigger and a kick room trigger. So let's start with just balancing those. So I've got the kick and the kick out going to this live kick bus, so I can just process this separately from the kick trigger. Let's start with the kick in and bring the kick out up. Cool. Let's try and clean up a bit of the bleeds. So you don't want to go too far with this or it just starts sounding a bit weird and clippy. Cool, sounds good. It's a little bit of low mid sort of boom that I can take out. Maybe a tiny bit of compression. Cool. Sounds kind of weird on its own, but let's try bringing the kick trigger in. Cool. And the kick room. Cool, sounding pretty good. I've also got in this song kick verb. So there's a section of this song which is a very slow sort of ambient reverby section. So we'll look at that as a separate part of the mix, but let's just see what's going on here. So nothing crazy. Ooh. Just a massive epic verb. So we'll come back to that. That will make sense later. So live kick triggers summed. Let's send that over to my kick bus. And so what I do here is a kind of version of, the way I think of it is kind of a version of top-down mixing, but on each channel. So essentially processing the individual channel before I go back and EQ it so much. So I just start bringing in some of the compression, some of the saturation, that kind of thing, and that just gives me a better idea of how it will sound processed, so that when I then EQ it, I'm listening to that sort of more finished sound. Cool. So I usually quite like the distressor on kicks. What I was saying before was we could maybe try some different options out today and just see if anything stands out. It's quite easy when you're mixing to get stuck in this kind of template world of having all of your sort of favorite plugins set up, and you end up sort of doing the set. Not necessarily the same thing on everything, but you can end up doing very similar things on a lot of mixes. So it's sometimes fun to just break out of that and see what else we've got. Let's have a look. Compression wise, let's get this bit of EQ dialed in, and then I'll come back and see if there's any other compression we like. So EQ, low cut on the kick. Getting rid of that super sub rumble. Some of this boxy sort of boominess. And this sort of mid-rangey stuff. And I've been liking this little cut here. Seems to tighten the whole thing up a bit. See if there's anything up in the top, which is annoying. Sometimes, especially with kind of punk and metal mixing, you're adding some top end to the kick drum, and you can end up bringing out some of these sort of nastier frequencies in the upper mid range. Sometimes cleaning these up first can help a bit. Don't really need anything right up there. Okay, so let's have a look at some different compression options then on the kick and see if anything stands out. See if we find something new. One plugin I've just been demoing is this new green, can't spell, green plugin from Kazrog. This thing's really nice. I've not tried it on kick yet. Let's see how it sounds. Sounds pretty nice. So just Stressor is sort of bringing out more of the mid-range, and this is giving a bit more of a scooped sort of low mid sort of version. Not massively a fan of that on the kick. Could sound good for some mixes. Let's have a look at what else we've got. I've been quite liking this Cenozoics plugin. Let's try this. So, slower attack, faster release. About 3 dB again, and then the cool thing about this is you can basically flick through all of these different types of compression, VCA, red VCA, FET, Opto, and just see if any of them stand out. That one's quite nice. That's killing it a bit too much. It's a nice attack on that one. Compare that back to the distressor. Volume difference. That's a bit of makeup on this. I still think I prefer the distressor. Alright, let's stick with the distressor for now then. So, moving on. Let's just do a kick in the mix. Let's use the console for a little bit of shaping, so tiny bit more compression here. I generally find that stacking, especially with digital processing, is stacking small amounts of compression on multiple layers seems to work better than just having one plugin being absolutely crucified. So. We can suck some of this low mid out. Boost some subs. Try and find a bit of slap in that sort of high mid area. So this is the kind of area where you can really get lots of different tones. So from all the way down here, it's kind of a rock tone. A bit further up, you start going a bit more of a punky sound up here, and then sort of going up here, you start going to metal a bit more. these guys, it works about here. Bit of top. If you really want to go death metal. Cool, and then just a clipper at the end, which is just clipping off a bit of the transient and just holding it right there at 0 dB, which is useful when we want to get the mix nice and loud in the mastering process. Cool. So kick is sounding pretty good. I might come back to that, but for now I think that sounds fine. Just going to turn the vocals off for now. I usually just get the instrumental going without the vocals on. Just find it a bit distracting. Right, let's have a look at snare. No questions yet. So we've got the same thing I did on Tuesday. So you've got the top snare, the bottom snare. Then I've duplicated those and created these snare turbo channels, which are basically a slightly less dynamic and de-bleeded version of those. So the regular snare, and then when you add the snare turbo, you get more snare, but the bleed stays basically at the same level. So let's blend those together. Cool. And then we'll try a little bit of compression. Let's go with the 1176 again. Cool. Let's get a bit of EQ. Some of this mid-range stuff. See if there's anything up the top, maybe some of this bleed. Just a few little notches. We don't want to completely reshape the snare at this point. I'm just trying to just clean out anything that stands out and just make a bit more room in the mix. So the next thing I'm going to do is a little bit more de-bleeding. So we've been using this black salt silencer, which is pretty amazing. We start less extreme than the default. Check if there's any dynamic hits in the song. Andy, the drummer from Darko, hits pretty hard and pretty consistently, so I don't think there's anything in here which is going to get missed. but it's always worth checking. Sometimes if you gate like this in a heavy section, you can then completely kill all of the ghost notes in a quieter section or like a verse. Look at this fills. Cool, sounds fine. And then we've got a couple of snare triggers. Choose the bit of compression as well. So the first one's giving us a nice bit of ring, the second one's giving us a little bit more body. But the main, I really try with the samples to not I generally don't use one shots, and I try and get the samples to sound as natural as possible. I don't want the drums to sound like they've been completely replaced. I'm trying to have samples that fit and augment the live sound rather than just be a completely different snare. Cool, so that's those two. Then we've got a snare room. Let's check that out. Some high mid stuff. Get some bit of machine gunning on some of the rolls. We might have to go back and automate those later once we hear it in the mix. And I've got a snare room large, which is for the slower sections by the looks of it. Let's have a listen. It's got a mid-range thing going on. Kind of ringing. Cool, that sounds good for now. We'll see how those work once the rest of the mix is in there. And we think that's it for snare tracks for this. So let's jump over to the snare bus and let's see how everything works together. So same as the kick, I kind of do a little bit of working backwards. So let's. Oh, I forgot that. Sorry, just restarting my UAD box. Seems to have done it. Yeah. Cool, so a bit of compression. Quite liking the 6-to-1 today. Bit of clipping. Cool. True iron for some saturation. The console we'll have a look at for EQ. Bit of tape. Now that compression's in, I just need to rebalance the samples a little bit. Cool, sounding good. Let's have a look at the overall EQ of the snare, see what's building up. So, what I'm hearing is the snare triggers when you've got the fast rolls don't sound great. So, rather than leaving the automation till the end, I'm just going to automate some of these down a bit. Actually, I can just do them on the track. It's probably the easiest way to see them. So it looks like I've started doing this on the previous mix as well. So let's see. Let's go a bit more. So basically just bringing the snare samples down when there's a fast roll to just make it a bit more realistic. Yeah, it looks like I've gone through and done these, but with this level of processing on this mix, I just need to go a bit further. Let's go to -4. Reduce the machine gun a bit. Some more. That's it. Cool. Sounds fine. I think that might be it. Yep. Cool, so it just makes that a little bit more realistic sounding. Okay, next let's have a look at the toms. We've got the live toms, they've been cut and faded manually, and then a tom trigger has been added. There's a few toms over here. This goes back between the two. Let's go with this one. Cool, so it's just balance between the live and the tom trigger, so you can hear the live toms on their own, they're just kind of lacking that impact. They don't have that sort of slappy hit that we need on this. Cool. So, high tom, let's get the EQ. It's low cut. Scoop some of these mids. This little some of this knockiness. See if there's anything in the high mids. Yeah, don't like that. All that. That. Cool, let's try the floor tom. Yeah, this kind of, it's a bit gross on that. Cool, let's have a look at the bus processing for the toms then. The panning. I need to pan them as well. So that's all right. So same with the kick and the snare. I do my kind of working backwards, bit of compression, and then see if we need any overall EQ. Don't think we're going to need that. This CLA drums is just on and just see if it sounds good or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I think we used it on the Tuesday mix. Yeah, I think it's working for these toms. Pull tech, a little bit of this low end magic, and then some high boost. See that in the mix. Cool. Let's try not to loop that too much and annoy the shit out of everyone. Cool, maybe a bit more low end. Cool. So that's Tom's done for now. Turn down a little bit from it. Band. Right, so that's shells pretty much sorted for now. need to do is turn the snare room down slightly when there is the double time, because it just sounds a little unnatural. Sounds fine on the rolls. It's just when that snare's bashing away, bat, 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 bat. It's just you can really hear that kind of room sample going in the background. Cool, so let's see how much these need to go down to sound less like that. Maybe 2 dB. .5 sounds good. Let's go with that. Sounds fine in these bits, it's just when he's going down. 'Can go down just slightly here because you can hear it's kind of exposed. It sounds a bit funny. Be all of it. Yeah. Cool. So that is shells pretty much sorted. Let's have a look at the overheads. Overheads. We have stereo overheads. Start with a bit of compression. Cool. Bit of tape. Console. Right, EQ. Don't want this resonant area of the snare. And then, yeah, same as we did on Tuesday, this low mid, what a lot of people like to do is just take all of this out, but you kind of end up with quite sizzly sounding cymbals. I normally find it easy to just take a bit of the low mid out. Cool. Probably don't need any of this super high end. And then find some nasty notching. Quite a lot of these notches are specific to certain cymbals, so that's why I'm doing them dynamically here. This in the hi-hat is pretty nasty as well. Cool. Let's try some soothe as well. Clean up what we've missed. Still maybe a little harsh in this high mid area. Bit of top end. Let's try Golfos and see if that does us anything. I really like these settings pretty low. Next, let's have a look at the rooms. The rooms, we have two different rooms. We have the close and the far. And then we also have a chamber. And then I've got a chamber that I've duplicated out for the middle 8 section. Let's have a look at this. Close room. Far room. Chamber. Chamber effects. Close room. I can't hear that. Close room. Strange. What's going on? There we go. Cool. Start the VQ. Some of that snare resonance. Bit of muddiness down here. Any of this super high end. Let's see if there's any ringing here. It's nasty. Cool, let's try a bit of the SSI channel. A little bit of compression. A bit of distortion. Let's try and bring out some of the mid-range of the snare, I think. Cool, let's move on to the bar rooms. Cool. Let's try and hide it off a bit. Blend them together. It's quite a fast song, so we can't have too much of the far room. It's going to be messy. Let's have a look at the chamber. Harshness up here. See if that sounds any good blended in. Yeah, just adds a bit of extra length and a bit of extra depth and distance. Cool, let's sum all of the rooms then to this room here. Start with a bit of compression to bring them together. Sounds good. Bit of saturation. Take. Look at soothe. Go quite hard on this. The resonances in the room mics are normally pretty horrible. Let's try Golfos. It's probably similar settings to this. Cool, let's blend this in with the rest of the kit. This is too loud at the moment. level these toms out a bit more. They're sort of a little bit all over the place, dynamics wise. High tom has a kind of clankiness to it sometimes as well. Let's try and clean that up. Maybe slightly less of this. Cool. So that's basically drums done. I've got spot mics. Let's have a look at spot mics. So hi-hats, we've got 2 hi-hats, we've got one for the main song, and then we've got an effects section. Let's have a look at that. A lot of hi-hat here. Fast attack, compression. Kill some of the lows. There we go. Don't need all the highs either. There'll be a little decapitator, can just level it out. So he's hitting the hi-hat so hard it kind of sounds like it's coming out of both sides, but it definitely is panned to the left. So the hi-hat is going to really try and hi-hat spot mic is going to try and really focus the fact that it's on the left-hand side. Cool. Let's look at the. Well, I'll do the middle 8 section separately, I think. Let's just do the same basic processing for now. Cool. Cool. Ride cymbals. There's only a few of these. So, like this. Try a bit of decapitator. Ride doesn't really play a major part in this. down a tiny bit. Okay, we've got China in this song, which we didn't have on the last one. Let's have a look at the China. Cool. Sounds pretty good off the bat. Let's have a look at the channel. Sounds fine. I think there's often the temptation to just EQ stuff just because you can or whatever, but if you just open something simple like a China, just sounds fine, just leave it. Right, so that's spot mics, and then the spot mic bus, I'm just going to do a basic soothe just to get rid of some of the harshness. Just focused in this high mid area again. Similar to the rooms, you can go quite extreme on this just because there's quite a lot of harshness in these close mics, especially the hi-hat. Sounding pretty good. What I normally do is leave there's some parallel channel setup and some reverb channel setup, and then I'll leave those until I've got the rest of the mix in a bit of a better position. So what I will normally do now is start getting a little bit of the master bus processing going. So full tech on the lows. I just use this mix tool at the start of the chain just to bring the gain down a little bit. This pulsar 8200 on the highs. Air, townhouse. So this is the sidechain filter is ignoring the low end, and then I'm going to have a fast attack, fast release just to try and knock some of the snare back into the mix a little bit. And then another one of these, low ratio, slow attack, fast release. If you go too far with mix bus compression, especially with plugins, it just completely destroys the mix. I normally find it sounds best just in this area where the needle is barely moving, and then same as I was saying earlier with the plugins on the individual channels, stacking multiple layers of it seems to just sound better to me. Shadow Hills. I just have barely doing anything. Just adds a very subtle saturation that I like. And then I have this combination of saturators on here. So take Saturn, this magic mastering, turn it down a bit. True iron. Give myself a little bit more headroom. Cool. So, drums are sounding pretty good. It's all gain staged into the master bus. I'm not going to crush it too hard at the moment. It's just to sort of set the overall tone of the rest of the mix and sort of lock everything in, so it's going to sort of build up around those drums, and those drums are going to be the sort of core level that everything else is working against. So let's have a look at bass. I think the bass is a bit more simple in this song than it was on the last one we did. We've got a DI, we've got a clean bass pedal, Sans amp, dark glass, stuff like that. We've got a DI sub, just a subharmonic harmonizer to basically just give it that kind of real low end vibe. Dark glass plugin for more clank, and then we've got a distortion. Accidentally throwing buses around. There it is. Cool, and we've got this bass pedal, which I imagine is distortion. Yeah. And they're all blending together. Cool, sounding pretty good. So that all sums to my bass bus over here with a bit of compression on it. I'm using the high pass filter and the sort of mid-range bump in the sidechain detector, just so that it sort of seems to clamp down less on the low end and more on the high end. Just gives it a bit more clanky. Let's try this stereo widening as well on the bass. So it's basically going to this effects rack, which has sound toys, decapitated, distortion, and a low cut, and then a stereo widener. Just a little bit of that. Cool. So first in the chain here, I've got the bass being sidechained to the kick. Very fast attack and release, so it's basically just ducking every time there's a kick. Cool, sounds good. Let's work backwards through this chain, so leave this up. Don't think I want tape on the bass today. Pro MB, this is my main processing, so let's take the thresholds all up, work through these one by one. Sub, locked, low mids, locked, this is the sort of character of the bass, a bit faster, a bit more dynamic. The sort of clank, very fast attacks, pretty fast release. Same with this. looks pretty extreme on here, but it's only doing 3 dBs of gain reduction. Pull out some of this low mid. This clank is getting a bit rowdy here. Reshaping that clank a bit. So that's bass sounding pretty good. Didn't use any of this on the drums. Right. Let's have a look at guitars. Check this bass pedal at the end, I think. Yeah, sounds good. Sorry, I've got my dog with me. You can probably hear him jingling around in the background. Sorry about that. Cool. Let's have a look at some guitars. So, same as Tuesday, we've got Chris with the slightly more single coil tap, kind of springy vibe, and we've got Rob with the humbucker, thicker distortion vibe. Looks like Rob starts this one. Let's start off with Rob then. Cool. Let's have a look at some EQ. Let's cut all this low end. Oh, I'm on the wrong track. Same with all this top stuff. Some high mids stuff going on. careful when you cut this stuff, because if you take too much, you end up just neutering the guitar tone, and it ends up just sounding. It just takes away all the attack. Cool, that's sounding pretty good. And then I like the Amec. Add a bit of top end, add a bit of low end. Decapitator. Pretty good for now. It looks like there's some lead stuff that we can maybe add some delay to in a bit, but looks like Rob basically rocks that for most of the song. Let's see. Let's do the rest of Rob's guitars since we're on it. What have we got? Tapping. Cool. Copy this same, see how that goes as a starting point. I think it's probably the same amp, but it's just tap it. Cool. Maybe a bit of delay. Sounds pretty cool. And then we've got this clean bit at the end. Oh, this is for the breakdown, which is a sort of epic. Oh yeah, this bit. Start the squeaky. Just take out the super subs. This bit needs to be reverb central. I like this Realm plugin from Native Instruments, I think it is. That sounds pretty epic. Just to be quieter. Duplicate this snare track. I can maybe make this into just a nice reverby. Just try around with the snare as well. That might be insane. To do it on the kick as well. Let's find out. That's pretty nice already. Goes epic for a bit, comes back nice and tight. Cool. So we were on guitars. That looks like Rob's guitar for the most part. I think there's some leady stuff that we can maybe try a bit of delay on. We'll do that. Let's do that now while I'm thinking about it. Sorry about the volume jump there. So this is going to be Rob, distort, delay. This can go to Rob all. Sounds ridiculous. Don't need anywhere near that much. problems with the notes a bit, having it that slow. I like it, right? With less feedback. Let's ring it on for less. Cool, let's see if we've got some more of that delay stuff later. Let's try that. Let's edit that. So that's added some life to that. That's one thing I didn't do was a little bit of soothe. Let's try a little soothe on here. It gets a little nasally. be Rob's guitars. Do I need to see on this? Cool. Let's have a look at Chris's guitars then. So Chris has got this slightly cleaner tone. It's all over here, sorry. Okay. EQ. Can I spell? No. Take out the lows, take out any unneeded highs. High mids. This is something I don't see that many people do, is messing with this dB per octave on the cuts. So sometimes if you're trying to get rid of these resonant filters, messing with this can really help. Let's go to a bit where it's playing all the time. Here at 24 it just picks up slightly more of it. Let's remove that dynamically. Wrong one. Tiny bit of compression, a bit of top ends, low ends. Low end here already, still has some low end. Throw it on soft on this one. That balances with Rob's guitar then. there's any bits which lead bits in here which could be have some delay on them. So this can probably go to the same delay we just used for Rob. Distortion delay. Edit this. Send level. Let's do it as a separate one then. So Chris distortion delay. Let's give it a slightly different sound. This can go to Chris all. Seems Chris is mainly doing rhythm on this one. Yeah, it might just be that bit. If I notice anything else, I can always come back and edit. So what else have we got for Chris? We've got Chris lead. Okay, I've separated the leads out here. Cool. So this can probably go to the same. Chris tapping. Sounds like the same tone. this bit. What else we got for Chris's guitar then? Chris 8-bit. What's this? Oh, cool. Let's use the micro shift. Definitely some EQ needed on that. Crazy. Don't remember this part at all. Ended up pretty quiet in the final mix. What's this? Tapping, more tapping. Okay, this is more of the same as tapping. This can just go, let's see what happens if I send it to tapping. Cool, that might be all the guitars. Let's have a listen from the start and see where the levels are at with everything. the guitars sorted. So let's have a look at getting some drum parallels and some drum reverbs added. So I'll start with my drum crush. Let's send snare at full, kick slightly less, tom slightly less. Start with that. I'm using the Fairchild on here. Let's see if we can add a little bit of the cymbals in and a little bit of the rooms in. A little bit of room. If you add too much overheads or rooms into these parallel mics, you just end up with this really smashed, which you don't want. But if you don't have any, you can kind of end up with nothing. This is clear as junk. Rock band. Alright, let's have a look at another one, drum attack. So it's probably going to be pretty similar settings. Start with that. Distress that. Sounds pretty crazy on its own. Don't think I need these for today's mix. So let's try blending these in the context of the mix. You know how much more impact that brings to the drums. Let's try the attack. Together, somewhere down here, I think. Cool, that sounded pretty good. This has been running for just over 2 hours. I'm just going to take a quick break and I will be back in the next sort of 5-10 minutes or so. Just need to let my dog out.